Well, hello. I wanted to talk a little bit about readability. If you'll notice this in this week's assignments, there's quite a bit on readability, and I wanted to talk about the importance of readability and why I expect so much work to be done in that field. I was first introduced to the importance of readability when I was doing my master's work as a reading specialist, and one of my professors challenged me to take a look at the readability scores of the third grade at that time tax test. And I assumed, like I think probably everyone else does, because I actually haven't seen any documentation or papers written on this, I assumed that the readability would be somewhere in the 3.6 to 3.9 reading range on most of the passage, maybe some a little higher and some a little lower, but somewhere in that range. After all, we're testing third grade students. And we know that if we're going to test somebody on their grade level material, that we should be able, that we're going to use reading samples that would be at that grade level. So I went ahead and I'm going to show you how I did this. So I'll be sharing my screen with you. It takes a second for the screen to come up, but the first one I want to show you is how to get to the STAR release tests. I think it's very important to make sure that we are able to do that as educators. Most of you probably already know how to do this, but I do want to show you how to do that. The screen should be coming, here it is. So the first thing I did was I Googled and STAR release tests, as it shows up here at the top, and clicked on release test questions. That took me to the next screen that you're going to see. Actually, that's not the screen that came up. I went to STAR resources is where I went. From there, I clicked on release tests. And let me move this out of the way. And then to STAR release test questions. And from there, I clicked on STAR resources right here. And got to the release test questions. I clicked on the reading 2016 STAR test. And when I opened that up, I opened it up as a PDF. I'll show you that PDF file here. This is the PDF file that opened up, and this is this 2016 third grade reading STAR test and the passages that were on it. Then what I did was I went down to the first passage, started at the beginning, highlighted the text all the way through. Oh, now I'm down into the questions. Then I copied the text. Oh, I just unhighlighted. Hold on a second. Go back up and do that again. This just takes a few minutes to do this with each passage. I copied the text into a Word document, and the reason I did that was to pull out all the numbers and everything else that are associated with the STAR testing. So now let me copy like that. All right, and then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and take you to that Word document. I've already cleaned it up. And let's see, to screen share that with you. All right, so what you're seeing now is the document. I labeled this STAR Passage 1, 2016, third grade. And you're seeing the document that I actually pasted that text into, and then I cleaned it up. I took out all the numbers and page numbers and things like that that will happen when you copy and paste into a document. So basically, this is the first passage right here. Now, what I want to show you is how to use Word to determine readability of a text. And you can actually use this to determine the readability of your own typing and writing. If you click on the Windows tab up here at the top, go down here to Word Options, and then you go to Proofing, and come down here and make sure that the Show Readability Statistics is checked. The default for that is to not be checked. Once you do that and run spell checker on a document, it will give you the Fleisch-Kincaid readability statistics for that text. Fleisch-Kincaid uses a combination of sentence length and word length in determining readability of a passage. So now I'm going to go ahead and go up here to Review, run the spell checker, which only takes a second, and hopefully everything was spelled correctly in the passage. And if you'll notice, the Fleisch-Kincaid reading level of the first passage in the 2016 STAR release test is 2.6. So it's actually about a grade level behind where you would expect the students to be tested. Hopefully the students did really well on this passage overall. So now I'm going to go ahead and pull up the second passage, and it should be somewhere between 2.6 and maybe 4.6. So this is passage 2. Again, I copied and pasted each passage into a Word document, cleaned up the passage. So the next one was titled Norman Bridwell and the Big Red Dog. And it talks about, I think it talks about the author, Norman Bridwell, and him writing about the Big Red Dog. And so let me get to the review, the review. And we're going to go to Spelling and Grammar. Oh, look at that. Readability on this passage is 6.1. So this passage is written at basically a 6th grade reading level. So maybe we're taking an average here. Maybe we start off at 2.6 and then we jump up to 6.1. That puts us somewhere in the middle and close to the range that we should be testing 3rd graders. I'm not sure if that was the thinking on this. I don't think so. Because let's take a look at passage 3 from the STAR high stakes reading testing put out by TEA. Passage 3 for STAR, right here. And this one was titled Never Say Never. I'm going to go quickly to the review pane. Spelling and Grammar, 6.1. So now we 2 passages written at the 6th grade reading level. Surely the next one will be lower than that and bring us back down to what the reading level should be. So let's go ahead and pull up passage 4. This was a poem, a short poem. Let's see, review, spelling and grammar, 3.7. That's actually where a reading test for this grade level should be, right around the 3.7, which is 3 years, 7 months of school. So that's actually pretty close to where they should be at this point in the reading. So now let's take a look at the 5th passage. If I can find it. Passage 4, passage 3, passage 2, passage 1. I just had it up. It's titled A Sweet Way to Stop Hiccups. STAR passage 5. There it is. Sorry about that. Okay, so here it is. We're going to review spelling and grammar. This one is written at a 7.0 reading level, 7th grade reading level. So 3 grade levels ahead. So far we've seen one that was on level, one that was slightly below, or actually almost a year below level, and 3 of the 5 passages that were written for the STAR 2016 test for 3rd grade, which are 3 to 4 grade levels above the actual student reading level. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important for several reasons. One, it kind of makes you wonder why they're written that way. I will tell you this, that when I did the tax tests, did the same readability thing for the tax test, I found some 3rd grade tests that were written at the 9th grade reading level. It kind of makes you wonder what people are thinking when they put these tests together. There's several things that might be considered about this, and there may even be some political aspects to it. I actually don't know. I'm kind of curious myself as to why this has never been addressed, and why it's still going on so many years later. When I did the first readability, I think I did it in 2006, and had a limited number of tax release tests to look at. Every one of them, however, was written above grade level. When we are talking about students with special needs, now we're looking at students who are already probably 1 to 2 grade levels behind their peers, and now we're making them take the grade level test, which what that means is when a third grade student who's already a year or year and a half behind their peers has to take a 7th grade reading level test, now they're 5 years behind what the level of the test is. Hardly fair, hardly equitable, hardly a good measure, I think, of someone's reading ability, especially when we're doing things like STAR testing with the AR program, and it tells us what level they're on, what their instructional level is, and that's where we're all year long testing them on and having them select texts from, and then we give them a test that's ramped up several grade levels above what the average reading test level of a student should be. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you to kind of give you some ideas to think about on readability. It's very important that we level the texts in our classrooms that are not leveled, so that we know what level we're having our students read. It's great to have a classroom library. I highly encourage, hopefully any of you who have a classroom, have your own classroom library. The one that I had when I taught 3rd grade had 3,000 books that were all leveled. I leveled each one of them. Now, I didn't type all the text into a Word document and run the Flash Kincaid. There are several other leveling systems out there that are a lot simpler to use if you don't want to have to type all the text into a Word document. But you can use this to type part of it. Say you typed a page or scanned a page into the computer and then put it in a Word document and ran the Flash Kincaid readability from Word. It's a great tool to use in your classroom for this type of thing. It's also great when you have students write papers and you're wanting them to write to a certain grade level. That's great for professors who are looking at their students' papers and hoping that they're at least a 9th to 10th grade reading level or higher. Now, I wanted to share this with you because we are doing so much in readability, and one of the things you may be questioning this week is, why am I doing so much on readability? This is just one example of why readability is so important and so crucial. I do want to encourage you with this. When parents start asking you about their student's score on the STAR test, at least for 3rd grade 2016, you know now that you can tell them, well, they took a test that was 3 grade levels above where they should have been testing and still passed, or just missed the passing by a couple of questions, or whatever their results happen to be. At any rate, it does show a lack of, equity thinking, I'm not sure, planning in the development part of the STAR test, at least for 2016 3rd grade. I do encourage you to go take a look at the STAR release tests for your grade level and see what the readability is for those tests that your students are taking. I think you'll find, much like I did, that you'd be quite surprised at some of the levels that students are having to read and test at for high stakes state testing. Anyway, want to share that with you and make sure that you understand why I'm putting so much emphasis on this. You can't give a running record at a grade level unless you know the grade level of the text that the student is reading. And so it's important that you make sure before you give any kind of testing to a student that you check the grade level, the readability level of that text prior to administering any kind of reading assessment, especially for fluency. It's very important. So I want to share that with you today, and hopefully it's helpful. If you have any questions, you know how to contact me, Blackboard email, and I will talk to you soon.